Okay, what I plan on doing is taking my garden tower that I just purchased and put it on a base. So to start, I got a little rolling cart, 3x3 piece of wood I'm going to put on top of the cart, and then I'll put the garden tower on top of that. We'll see how that works. I could always cut the board down once it's on top and get a better idea of what I really need. This way I can have it follow the sun. Okay, so I've got it on the base now. You can see that I'm going to have to cut that wood around there, make it smaller, but that should work. And I've got some Miracle-Gro potting mix with some extra nutrients in it, and a raised bed Kellogg Organic Plus potting mix. And then also I have 5 pounds of worm castings that I used to have a worm farm before, and I've saved about 5 pounds of that, and I'll be mixing all 3 of these together into the tower garden. Let's see how that works. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm layering the potting mix from Miracle-Gro and the potting mix from Kellogg and the worm castings. Just kind of layering it as I go up and making a little bit of a mess, but that's alright. I'll sweep it up when I'm done. And there you go. So we'll keep going. Okay, so I got it full to the top. I used 3 cubic feet of the Kellogg's, 2.5 cubic feet of the Miracle-Gro. That's 5.5 cubic feet. And then I had about maybe another cubic foot of Patio Plus I had left over from before that I put on top. Now I did get a lot in the center hole, which you're not supposed to do, but that's okay. It has a plug on the bottom, and I'm going to water this down now with about 10 gallons of water, which should compact it down a little bit, and I'll take the stuff out of the center tube, put it back on top, and if needed I have another 3 cubic feet of the Kellogg that I'll fill in if needed, and if not, I'll bring it back, so that's good. And I used about 2.5 gallons of the worm poop, or the worm castings. Alright, so time to water it down now. Alright, so I've got my first 5 gallons of water, and my understanding is once this gets going, you want to pour it towards the outer rim of this, because if you put it down the center, you drown the worms. So you don't want to do that. I don't know if I'm going to be able to videotape while I pour this on, but I'm sure you can imagine me pouring water. Alright, back in a second. Okay, of course there's a plane going over. Alright, sorry about that, plane went overhead. So I poured in the 5 gallons around the rim. I did notice some of the water going into the other sections, dripping down and catching each other, so not too much settling so far on the top or throughout. I'm going to let it go for just a few minutes, and I slowly poured it in around the rim and throughout the whole top, and I slowly poured it, otherwise it would have just ran over the side, so I let it get absorbed. So now I'll go ahead and put another 5 gallons in. Okay, so I poured that one a little bit faster, and you can see it's going from one section to the other, which I think is fine. Still got about another gallon to put in there. Starting to see some settling on top as expected. And if I stick my finger in, I can feel this section's getting some water. Not too much down here yet. So I think I'm going to put, they said up to 14 gallons, being in Southern California. Today's June 29th and it's warm. I think I'm going to put another 5 gallons in. Can't hurt anything. If it gets too much, it has drains on the bottom, will just come out the bottom. Okay, did 14 gallons, and as you can see, that's too much, because it's draining out the bottom, but that should be alright. A little bit of settling, and I need to get something to capture that. Okay, I don't know if that's easy to see or not, but I've got a bucket underneath the drain, and as this thing gets going with the worm composting, that's called compost tea, which is just great nutrients for my other plants that I'll be putting around my garden and using, or I could pour it on top just to give it even more. So nothing goes to waste. If I stick my fingers in this, it's still pretty dry. So, oh no, it's wet. What am I talking about? Yeah, I stick my fingers in there, it's very wet, which is good. So I'm going to go ahead and try and put some plants in. I bought a bunch here. I got all kinds of herbs and tomatoes and cucumbers and carrots. And should be fun. Alright, let's see what it looks like after I do some planting. Okay, so I decided to wait a while and let it finish draining, which it filled up a red bucket. That's probably a couple of gallons there. And I think I'm just going to pour that right back on top. Maybe that's a mistake, but that's okay. The other thing is, it has a cap, so all the mixture and planter mix I put in the center tube, I didn't have to because it has a cap, but that's all right. On the bottom, I don't know if you can be able to see this, there's a kind of a nut there that you can take off, and that's actually a plug, and everything in the center will come down, and I'll take that and put it back on top. And what that's for is the center is a worm composter, and just like I had my worm castings before, I'll put scraps of vegetable stuff in the center here. I can't get the cap off with one hand like that. And put some worms in there in a few weeks, let it get going first. And then that's where all the castings will come out again. I'll make more and either put it into the garden tower or into some of the rest of my garden. This is kind of my backyard, very small backyard, tiny townhome backyard, so don't really have much room. It's brand new, not much room for a garden, so this is what you have to do when you live in the city. Alright, I'm gonna pour that water back on top and then open up the cap, see what happens. Okay, so I took the plug out and I got all the stuff that I had spilled into the middle. That's the plug. That just goes right back in there. So I'm going to put this stuff back on top because we don't waste anything. There we go. Pull it in. Nice stuff there. I got the cap on this time, so I won't put it right back where it doesn't belong. And there we go. It's nice and wet. And I'm going to try and plant some stuff. Let's see what happens. Put the bucket back to catch the last water that's coming out. And let's see what it looks like after I put some plants in. Okay, so I got all these plants in here. I've got tomatoes and celery, jalapenos. Let's see over here. Cherry tomatoes, carrots. I've got cucumbers and strawberries, basil, chives. Alright, so this is part of my video got cut off there. And this is my first time gardening. We'll see if it works. I'll post another video in about 30 days. I am a beginner, so don't hold it against Tower Garden if it doesn't come out right. Alright, happy gardening.